We are. Okay, everyone. Yeah, you can see when they come on. All right. Yeah.
Is anybody there?
I don't know yet, but they pop up. All right. Hello, everybody, and hello in Facebook land. Okay.
I'm watching. I can comment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And,
Some
I sometimes start reading the comments, and I'm like, what's going on? All right, great. All right, let's jump in. Parshas VaYigash. Okay, let's jump in here. This is just fantastic. What's going on with Yosef here? This is the culmination. I don't know, years. Every time I hear this parsha, I start to get choked up when Yosef reveals himself. And it's amazing. Every single year I have the same thing. When he reveals himself, that great moment. It's just so fascinating. So I want to look at the moment that Yosef reveals himself. Okay, and then we'll review a little bit the story here and understand what's going on. So, actually, let's review the story first. Especially if I went on Facebook land, we're going to review the story. Just let's go through it. In short, we know the basic storyline, but we're going to need it today because we're going to actually see the details of the storyline are all very, very precise. Okay, so let's start out. So the brothers are jealous of Yosef. The father loves Yosef more than them. Okay, Yosef is bringing back the dibur ra. He's bringing back bad reports to the father. He's saying that these sort of brothers talking to the Canaanite women, selling things, and it was inappropriate. He saw various things that he thought they were not doing according to halacha. So he tells the father. Now the brothers hate him. You all know the story. Then what happens is that the brothers are in Shechem, and they're tending the sheep. Yaakov sends the brothers to go to see Yosef, see how the brothers are doing. He gets there, and they say, "Here comes the dreamer boy, Baal Chalamos. Let's kill him." Okay, so the plan is to kill him, and then what happens is they decide, you know what? Reuven doesn't want to kill him because Reuven already knows he's the oldest, and he'll be held accountable. Right? You're the oldest. Held accountable for everything. That's the way it works, So he's held accountable as Reuven, and he already had a little slip up before with the story of Bilhah when he moves the beds. So Reuven says, "I don't want to have him killed." Hey, go ahead.
couldn't find you guys.
Oh, all right.
This is a better room.
Yeah. So no problem. So Reuven says, no, let's not kill him. Let's throw him into the pit. All right, good. And his idea is that he's going to then come back and take Yosef out when everyone leaves. But he's not there afterwards. He has to go. It's time to take care of his father, whatever it is. He's not there. And then the brothers say, you know what, let's not leave him in the pit. Yehuda comes up with Ma Betza. What gain do we have by throwing him in the pit? Which probably is a ploy also, because Yehuda, this seems to be an act of saving him to a certain degree. He says, what gain do we have? Let's sell him. We know the story. They sell him to the Ishmaelim. Fantastic, wonderful. They sell him, and he's sold into different hands. He gets down to Egypt. Well, we know the story. Then he gets thrown into jail. And then he comes out in last week's story, the meteor, help me out. Meteoric rise to power. He goes and he interprets power as dreams, right? We just read today. And then he becomes the viceroy. Now, this whole time, for 22 years, he does not go and tell his father that he's alive, right? Which he could have done. He doesn't do that. That's a big problem. He doesn't send any message. We talked about it in one of the previous classes in Miketz, the Ramban's opinion. The Ramban sheet is he wanted to fulfill the dreams, which needs a lot of explanation. We talked about it in one of the other ones because it's a nice dream. We all have dreams. We want to fill our dreams, but to torture your father for 22 years and your brothers to fill a dream is actually a much deeper thing. We talked about that a different time. But whatever it is, Yosef has not sent a message when he could have. And now he is waiting for the brothers to come along. And then in this week's parasha, they come, and he says, you guys are spies. And he starts this whole story, this whole machination of what he claims that they're doing. And he says, you guys are spies. They say, no, we're not spies. And he says, listen, I have recorded here, you guys came in through 10 different gates. because Yaakov told him, hey, you're all good looking, don't come in through one gate, they'll bring the iron har, go in through separate gates. So Yosef has been waiting for this for years. He's like waiting for this moment. And it says he remembers the dreams. No matter what, even if you don't like the Ramban, he's waiting for this to happen. He knows this moment's gonna come. And when they come in, he accuses them of being spies. Then afterwards, he goes and he says, you're all going to stay in jail. You have another brother. Bring your little brother down. Fantastic, wonderful, great. And you all stay in jail. But if you notice then in the text, do they all stay in jail? No. First, Yosef says, one of you guys will go back to bring the younger brother. And then he says, at the end, he says, okay, you can all go back and one's going to stay. That's a shift. He's changed something there. Okay, so all of you go back and one stay, and he holds Shimon. So now they go back. Yaakov says, no, I can't let Binyamin go, and who knows what happened to him. He's dangerous in the path, and it happened to his mother, his brother. Okay. So then finally he has no choice. They have no food. He sends Binyamin, and then the whole story of in the last week's parasha, where Yosef goes and he has his whole ploy, he puts the goblet in Binyamin's, the gevia in Binyamin's sack, and he fools them, and they go out, and they come back, and they say, okay, this one is now, should be a slave to me, and you all can leave and go back to your father. That's what we're up to in this week's parasha. All right, let's try to understand this second. Let's start from the very, very beginning. You guys have siblings? Mm-hmm. You ever get mad at your siblings?
No.
No. You ever think about selling them into slavery? Killing them, maybe?
Depends what age we're talking
about. Age we're talking about. But most of us, even if we have thought about it, we've actually not, ever done it. So let's go for the very beginning here. What is going on with the Shiftei Kol, the holiest people to walk the face of the planet, who are willing to go and have their brother killed? And they're willing, because someone explain this to me. Let's just understand the most basic things. This is just incomprehensible. These are the holiest people to walk the face of the earth, and they are going to kill him, sell him to slavery, throw him into a pit, which had snakes and scorpions, as we even know, no discussion. But this is unbelievable. What's pshat? So let's understand this. This is the Pasha pshat. Simple explanation. And if you notice, it's a fascinating thing. After they first decided to kill him, it says they went to eat bread. It's very nice. You had a busy day killing your brother? You must have worked up an appetite. What does that mean? Why are you eating bread now? The answer is there's a halacha that says that when you don a case, when you judge a case of capital punishment, you can't eat until after you judge the case. And the din was they actually judged a capital case against him. They judged him as a rodef, someone who's coming to kill you. Someone who comes to kill you, kill them first. So that's what they did. They paskin Yosef as a rodef. Let's understand here. What does that mean? So look at the story here. Look at the history. You have Avraham. He's got 2 kids, and one of them is out. Shmuel's not the Jewish people, and Yitzchak is. Yitzchak has 2 kids. He's got Yaakov and Esav. And Esav is out, and Yaakov is the Jewish children, the Jewish people. Now, if you see that, and you see now Yosef as the loved one of Yaakov, and he keeps running back to his father and telling them every single thing the brother's doing wrong, with maybe good intentions. He wants them to straighten out, whatever it is. But you should certainly start to believe that Yosef's goal is to destroy the brothers and have Yaakov cut them out. And that's what they believed. The brothers sat and they had a court case against Yosef, and they judged him as a rodef. They said, listen, think about it. And this is a question in halacha. If somebody wants to go and kill you spiritually, what's the din? But according to many people, what happened here was Yosef was, in their opinion, Yosef was actually committing the greatest act of murder. He was going to destroy the Jewish people. They knew they had to be the Jewish people. They knew who they were. And they understood that Yosef's, constant dibur ra, constant reporting the negativity was in order to go and to have Yaakov say, the brothers are not worthy. And Yosef, you are the one who's the Jewish people. And so they actually judged him as a rodef. They believed that he was trying to kill them. That's what they believed. And therefore, that's why it means after they judged him, they sat down to eat bread. Okay, case is over. Now we can go on. That's what they believed. They even mishtatev a Kadosh Baruch Hu in this judgment. They said this no one can reveal it, and they said this is the psak halacha. This is what is happening here, and this is what we have to do because otherwise this person will destroy the Jewish nation. That was their belief. Did you have a question on that?
Quick, it seemed a bit untenable that the brothers knew that they had to be a part of, they were going to be the tribes, right? That it was going to go through everybody, but that Yaakov didn't. Meaning, didn't the brothers have faith in the fact that Yaakov knew that it wasn't just Yosef? Or you're saying that even if Yaakov might have knew that, Yosef was slandering them to such a degree.
That's right.
That Yaakov would have said, "Oh, you know something?
That's right.
Maybe not."
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's what it was. What it was is originally he knew that, but their belief was that Yaakov was now going to be influenced by. I mean, and you got to remember, Yosef has his ear.
Right.
Yosef is the extension of Yaakov. We talked about it last week. I tried to explain what it means. He's the extension of him, but he is the. That's why it says he was supposed to have 12 tribes and that whole business. If you guys saw the class last week, it was a lot of deep things. But it says that Yosef has to have 12 tribes like Yaakov. Right, he lost 10 tribes when he stuck his nails into the ground with the story of Potiphar, and that's where the 10 children of Binyamin. It says Binyamin had 10 children, who he named all after Yosef. Right, Binyamin and Yosef were interconnected. Binyamin was called, Yosef called the higher tzaddik. Binyamin was called the lower tzaddik. So the Binyamin and Yosef were connected here. They're one entity, the children of Rachel. And remember this: that Yaakov's working for Rachel. I mean, Yaakov's whole goal was Rachel. That means his whole goal originally was Yosef. Right? The Rizal says that the Yosef was the Bechor in Machshava, in thought, because he thought he was creating Yosef in the beginning. Even though Reuven was the Bechor in action, but Yosef was the intent of what's going on. And now you have the one who is supposed to be, Yaakov's goal, what he's shooting for, and he keeps and we see, Yaakov made him responsible. He taught the other sons, part of his Torah. For Yosef, he taught the whole thing. Yosef had his whole Torah because he saw Yosef as the continuity of Yaakov. And the brothers had great traits, but they were individual traits. And so therefore, the one who's the extension of Yaakov is saying these other brothers are not worthy. So they donned him as a rodef. Okay? Now, of course, the question you're asking doesn't mean that it has to be a correct judgment, because it wasn't a correct judgment.
Right.
What was the real reason why they did that?
They're jealous.
They were jealous. It's an amazing medrash here. You guys, there's an amazing medrash. The medrash says, you learn the source of anti-Semitism from this parsha. It's amazing. Medrash says, look at the Shiftei Kah, the holy brothers, the most righteous people in the world, and they were willing to go and to kill their brother and rationalize it because of jealousy that their father loved him more than they. And Medrash says this is the root of anti-Semitism. Chosen people? Whoa. What's your relationship with God? You have some special relationship here? That's what the Medrash says is the deeper root of anti-Semitism. Isn't that amazing? It's an incredible Medrash. But jealousy. But the jealousy translates to the idea of you Jews have a special relationship with God. And you could say what you want to say about other issues. You could rationalize it, because even the brothers rationalized it. But the bottom line, the deeper concept is that wait a minute, you have a certain specialness to our Father, to God. Can't handle it. Can't handle it. Even the brothers couldn't handle it. So that really is a fantastic thing. Okay, so good. So that was their rationalization, and the truth, you also understand what was really going on was their jealousy. Now, according to that, what do you think Yosef is trying to do with this whole story? Why is he not going and telling the father, Yaakov, he's alive? Why is he not, when the brothers come back and say, hi, it's all good, I love you, group hug? How come he doesn't do that? Now, you might want to claim because he's angry, but that's not true. Because you see in the next week's parsha, you see what's going to happen is when they come to him, they say, we did bad. He says, whatever. I'm not instead of God. you did what you did. So he doesn't. He has a very, very lofty view of the situation. So what's he doing here?
He's trying to correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
What he's trying to do is he understands this chet, this sin is so great that he needs to really give a kapara and a miruk. He needs to fix up all of the things that they did through this process. Otherwise, this blemish is going to stay with us for forever. And that's what he does. Now watch how beautiful everything fits in. Watch this. Okay, let's go to the story. They come in, and Yosef says, hey, Warren, how you doing? Good to see you. They come in, and Yosef says to him, what? What does he accuse them of? Being spies. What did they accuse Yosef of? Being a spy. When he comes, they say, hey, here comes spy boy. Dreamer boy is going to tell more stories about us. Then what does Yosef? What happens afterwards? Yosef says, "Okay, I'm throwing you guys in jail because you're spies." Jails in those days were pits. They were pits. He threw them in the pit, which is exactly what they did. Now, then he says, "Okay, listen, one of you go back, and the rest of you stay here." Now they're sitting in the pit and they're figuring, "Oh, well, one of us goes back. Which one's going to go back?" Well, probably. He seems to know who we all are. He knows our ages, our birth. He also was like asking them questions about their private lives. He's probably going to send the oldest. The oldest. Reuven, that's the one that didn't want to kill him. Is that a sign from God? That the one who didn't want to get him killed is the only one that he's letting go back? And so they're thinking that. Then he says, you know what? You could all go back. Except for one. One guy's got to stay. Which one stays? Shimon, the one who threw him in the pit. So Yosef is making this whole entire maneuver to go and to get these people to realize what they did wrong and do tshuva. That's very nice. That's beautiful. That's what the Meforshim say. But I want to show you something here that seems to be a problem with that. So look here. Look here in page 200. 234. No, I'm sorry, look at 236, I mean. Yosef says, listen, now I don't trust you guys. You say you have another brother. Go back to the land of Canaan, bring him down, and that'll prove you guys are not spies. Okay, now. So, and page 236 says, Vayomru isha lachiv. One said to the other, one brother said to the other, Aval Hashem anachnu. It's our fault. It's our fault. You know why this is happening to us? This has nothing to do with the bad ruler. Remember, they're talking amongst themselves because they don't realize Yosef speaks Hebrew. He's speaking only through an interpreter. We are at fault. On our brother. We saw his pain when he pleaded with us. We didn't hear. That's why it's happening to us. Tshuva. Reuven says, didn't I tell you? The first I told you so in history. Here it is. I told you so. Don't sin with the kid. You didn't listen to me. Now Yosef doesn't know that they're listening. He slips out and he starts to cry. And I got a better idea, Yosef. Why don't you say, yay, the thing is over, tshuva. The thing should have ended right now. Yosef is keeping this. Isn't this statement here a statement of recognition that we did the wrong thing? Isn't it? If that's his goal, why doesn't he stop? So, look at the words very carefully. What are they saying is what we did wrong here? We are we are guilty. Why? We saw his pain. And we didn't listen. And as Reuven says, I told you, don't sin with the kid. He's a little kid. Okay? We should have had compassion on him. He's a little kid. I told you. He was in pain. That's not real tshuva. Real tshuva means I did the wrong thing. They're not saying I did the wrong thing. They're saying here that we did the right thing, but we still should have had compassion. The judgment was correct. Yosef is trying to get us killed. He's a rodef. He deserves a death penalty, but he's a little kid. What do you want? Just let it go. Pass on it. And that's why Yosef says this is not, we're not done here. You really did do tshuva here. Okay, you see that? Does that make sense? Any questions, comments, thoughts? Does that make sense, guys?
Not really.
Good, let me hear.
Sorry, I really don't.
Good, let me hear.
I don't see the difference between, he was a little kid. What were we doing? You know what I mean? Is what it sounds like is being said, and we did the wrong thing. It's not. Are you saying that You're saying we should have done what we did. The rabbi's saying we should have done what we did, but he was a little kid. Man, that was really a bogus thing to do.
Yeah, but like I said,
what's a straightforward rendition of what's being said?
So it's not a real apology.
Yeah, it's
then that's not a real
They tried. It's just that they shouldn't have done it because they should have just
That's
a little boy.
So what should they have done?
He's obligated to get a death penalty, but you know what? Let's go lifnim mishuras hadin. Let's go beyond the letter of the law. You have two things. You have the law, right? You have the law. You have the din, and then you have rachamim. A person.
You're saying they should have went mishuras hadin.
No, I'm saying that they still believe they were right. They still believe what they did was right. They just felt like this. There's two levels that a person's supposed to be. The Rambam says, when you want to be a chassid, you want to be a righteous person, you have to be a chacham first. A chacham means, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. Okay? This is the letter of the law. Okay? If you don't know, you can't be a chassid. In Amar's chassid, you can't be a righteous person if you don't know first. If you're Amar's, you got to say, okay, this is what the law is. I don't owe you the money. But you know what? I'm willing to go beyond the letter of the law. Here's $5. I don't need the money though. So that's two different things. One is mishuras hadin. What is the correct, right thing that's supposed to happen? That's the din. When you go to a court case, you can't say, you know what, he's our brother and he's so cute and he doesn't know and let's let him. You can't. He's obligated. You can go on a court case and you say the guy's exempt because of extenuating circumstances. It's either he is or he's not. So there's two different things. One thing is, what do you paskin? What does a judge paskin? And the truth is, if he wasn't even their brother, they may not have been able to let it go. It was like, they said the law is the law. We were right. He is a rodef, but he was in pain. And therefore, it would have behooved us to go beyond the letter of the law and to have compassion, although we are right and he is wrong.
Oh. So he still deserved what he got,
right?
But we
could have just gone a little bit more compassionate.
It's like undo that first.
That's right.
It's like when you hurt somebody's feelings and you say, "I'm sorry, what I said hurt your feelings." You're not saying, "I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing."
Right.
You're saying, "I'm sorry, you feel bad about what I said. I feel I'm right. You're sorry, you were hurt. I'm sorry, you're hurt."
That's right. And you could even go and say, you know what? Okay, maybe you're an overly sensitive person, so I next time I understand that, but it's just because you're really overly sensitive. Really, I did anything wrong. Right. And that's what happens here.
Yeah.
So Yosef. What's that?
They said the din was to.
Yeah, they didn't even do the din. The din was way to kill him, and according to them, the din was to kill him. Yehuda gets out of it, ma betza. What's the gain? So it'll be just as good to sell him as a slave That's
Do
fine.
the brothers ever acknowledge that they made a mistake
Let's see.
on the din?
Let's see. Let's go
Not
on.
so clear. Not clear. Not.
It's going to get worse.
It's not. They never say we made a mistake on this.
Well,
Judgment.
it seems they do, but things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. So let's go on to the next step here. So now, all right. So now they come back, and now Yosef does the last checkmate move. I mean, this is just brilliant. This is like, Yosef is just moving the whole thing. Remember, the whole root of this thing is the jealousy, right? That's what we already said. They're jealous of that Yosef was the beloved son, really going back to the beloved mother, which is Rachel. That's the whole story here, and the whole famous story with Ruth, the big deal that they put Rachel in front of Leah. Because when they said over, Hashem should bless you, Ruth and Boaz, that they mentioned Rachel before Leah, and Rashi comments that was a big thing because that was always a very tricky point in the Jewish people, and you got to understand this. I mean, the battle of the brothers is the battle today. It's too, in the Leshem and various Sfarim say, really the wife of Yaakov should have been one woman. I mean, spiritually, but for various reasons in the world, it had to come out through four women. But that creates a dynamic where there are different traits in the Jewish people. There's variations, and yet we have to unite. So Binyamin and Yosef are really one entity. They're the extension of Rachel. So now Yosef says, okay, let's get to the root. Let's get to the root here. The root of your whole thing was jealousy. All right? The root of the whole thing was jealousy, and therefore let's see what your response is going to be with Binyamin. Okay? I'm going to make this play now. I'm going to take Binyamin, and if you really have jealousy in your heart, you're going to be stuck. And you're going to say, all right, you know what can we do? Binyamin sold into slavery. We got rid of him. We're the tribes. He's out. If you stand up for Binyamin, that'll be a sign of your tshuva, your understanding that your even judgment in the beginning was wrong, and it was based on your jealousy because you'll have gotten rid of that jealousy. That's what he's going to try to test them. So that's what happens. Whole story is he goes and he moves this thing with Binyamin. He tries to trap Binyamin. Okay, very nice. And now they catch the goblet in Binyamin's thing. Page 248. This is the great moment, apparently, of understanding here. We say this in Rosh Hashanah Kippur. It says, and Slichos we say this. Vayomer Yehuda, page 248. Okay, verse 16. Tes Zayin. Vayomer Yehuda, man omar le'Adoni. What are we going to say? Tshuva. All right, we know Binyamin didn't steal this thing. They knew Binyamin didn't steal the goblet, but they said, "Listen, it's nothing to do with you. It has to do with Hashem." Okay. Man, what can we say to you? Man, what can we say? How can we justify ourselves? Halokim motzas avamadecha. You found our sin. We were wrong. Admission. Okay. We're avadim, we're servants to you, us, and the one that found the goblets. And Yosef says, no, don't worry about it. The one who, Yosef's pushing him. The one who's, now let's see, this jealousy is still there. You realize you made a mistake? You still have deeper jealousy? Okay, you realize you made a mistake. You understand? Fine. You still have deeper jealousy? We'll see.
You see, because he said our sin. That's vidui.
Yeah. It seems there's a level of vidui. But it seems there's still a problem here. Because it seems that he understands it. Now, Yosef goes and he says to him, tests them on the jealousy. And then, starting this week's Parsha, says, okay, Binyamin will stay, you guys go back. And now this should be the greatest moment right now. Okay? Beginning of the Parsha, yeah.
Sorry.
No, please, no, do it. No, it's fine.
So, you're saying the fact that Yosef continued to press after Pasuk 16 indicated that Yosef was satisfied.
Still thinks something's missing.
Something's still there.
Yeah.
And you're postulating that that's this element of underlying jealousy.
Yes.
It's still there.
Yes. And it's
How do
good.
you know that?
Well, because he's still testing them at this moment on Binyamin. Are you really going to, now when I say to you, I'm keeping Binyamin, and you go back, you did a wrong thing? are you going to stand up for your brother right now?
Why would that be, if he does stand up, why would that
Because
indicate that he
because
goes
if deep down you want to get rid of the Bnei Rachel,
Oh, right. Bigger story.
right?
Got
If
it.
you want to get rid of the children of Rachel, then you're going to say, what could I do? It's not like Yosef anymore. It's like you threw him in the pit. What can I do? The king took him. What do you want me to do? So this is going to now. So this everyone says now here now. This is like the greatest political maneuver in the world. Yehuda is now coming to Yosef, and he's talking. And if you read the Midrashim here are wild. The Midrashim say how Yehuda's like this blood dripping out of his eye, and has these wild stories, and they're smashing things, and it's crazy. I mean, they're allegorical, of course, but there's a story that Yehuda has his hair in his chest, and it breaks through his shirts, and they're making all these statements to Yosef and to Yehuda. You got the Medrash. The Medrash here is just wild. This battle. The battle line is that Yehuda is speaking a double language. He's speaking comforting, and he's also saying to him, listen, if you continue to mess with me, I am going to kill you. Okay? Yehuda, this is what the Medrash says. Yehuda now comes to Yosef, and he talks to him in a very nice way, apparently, but it ain't so nice. He says, Bi Adoni. He says, let me speak in your ear. And don't get angry. Kikamoch kiparo. And Rashi even brings down two explanations. You are very, very dear to me like Paro. You're very important to me. Or, look at the last one in Rashi. You're like Paro. If you mess with me, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill Paro too. So this is a very interesting approach that Yehuda is taking here and how he's coming to Yosef. Now, here is the moment, the greatest moment of ritzui, of pacification you can imagine, pacifying one another. It says, listen, I am going to stay instead of Binyamin. I'm going to sell myself as a slave. And I'm stronger than him. I'm more talented. I'm Yehuda. I'm the guy. I will stay here and let him go back. This should be this is it. This is the moment Yosef says, "Yay! I'm so happy." That's what. But Shemi Shmuel says that's not what he says. I want to show you these words here. This is nuts. Because right now, I can't imagine a greater level of ritzui. So I'm going to show you what the Shemi Shmuel says here. And there's a pasuk that we say in davening on Mondays, the Shir Shem on Mondays. It says the Malachim noadu avu yachtav. It says the kings were in a battle; they got angry one another. That's if you look in the Monday's song, it says Hamalachim noadu avu yachtav. The kings got together and they got angry one another. So what is it talking about? The Medrash says it's talking about this moment. Because when the other brothers saw Yehuda and Yosef going at it right now, they said, whoa, kings are fighting, back off. And the rest of the brothers pull back. And there's like a dialogue going on between the two of them. And they're angry. And the brothers are scared. They pull back, they wait, and they let Yehuda deal with it. Says the Shem Mishwas, I don't understand something. The kings, Yehuda and Yosef, are fighting each other. Avu yachtav, they get angry one another. There's a problem with that statement. What's the problem with that statement?
Why would Yehuda be getting angry at Yosef?
Well, Yehuda's angry at Yosef because you're cold all my kid. But why does he be angry at Yehuda? Because Yosef is playing a game here. Yosef should be, yeah, you're doing good. But the more that Yehuda is pushing, Yosef gets angry. But he shouldn't get angry. Yosef should be like, yeah, this is perfect. This is great. You're doing wonderful. Keep it up. But that's not what he's getting. He's getting angrier to the point where it says in the Medrash that Yehuda turned to his brothers and said, we got to do something about this. And I'll tell you what he says in a second, but I'm going to show you the words here, how the Shem Mishmuel learns these words. Look at this right now. This is a fascinating line here, how he understands this. After this whole plea, please take me instead, it says, I want to be a slave. He finishes that on page 252. And he says, listen, now I will be the slave. Verse 33, Lamed Gimel, Atal Yished, I'll be the slave instead of the child for your master, and let the child go back to his father. How could I see the suffering of my father coming back with the kids not with me? I can't handle that anymore, even though he did that before when he sold Yosef. I can't handle that. Let me be the slave. Now, the next line says, V'lo yachol Yosef apek. Yosef could not refrain himself from all the people that were there. There's a lot of different explanations. Rashi is bothered by this. Rashi gives a different explanation. But just look at the word simply here. Let's play a little Gemara. Yosef, at this point, could no longer keep it going. He couldn't keep the thing. He couldn't hold back anymore. What's the implication?
He wasn't done yet with this.
Right. The implication is...
Sounds like it's all done.
Yeah, it sounds it's all done. So if Yosef couldn't hold back, the implication is if he could have held back, he would have held back. You know why he couldn't hold back? The Medrash says that Yehuda, when he saw he couldn't do this, he turned to the brothers and said, that's it, we're destroying Egypt. We're going to war. There's 12 gates in Egypt. I'll knock out 3. You guys take 1 each. We're going to war. And Yosef saw that I can't play it anymore. But the question is, what in the world is left? There's nothing left. This is perfect. You got all the things you did wrong, he gave them exactly. Threw them in the pit, accused them of being spies. He got them first to think that they did one level of a mistake, and they realized they're wrong, they realized their real mistake. Then afterwards, they got rid of the jealousy. So what is left? What does he want? Right? You hear the question? It's amazing. Because really, they seem to have fixed it. But there's a very, 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 very subtle thing that's left that they never got, according to Shem Shmuel.
That they didn't rectify.
They didn't rectify. And Yosef's trying to get it rectified. Hear what this is. It's very subtle. It's very subtle. In life, you always have a challenge. There's always the greatest challenge you have is between how much you make your effort and how much you accept what Hashem has planned for us. It's one of the hardest questions. Ishtadlus, right? And bitachon Hashem. It's always a problem because you're always in that dynamic. You're making effort. I'm making effort, but do I accept what Hashem gives me? Accept what He gives me? Am I just being lazy? What is the point where a person, pushes and he's pushing too much? It's a very, very hard thing in our lives. Everyone comes up with whatever their solution is, but most of the times that you come up with a solution, you could start thinking, am I pushing this too much? I just there's a Gemara that says, whoever pushes the hour runs away from him. Whoever waits for the hour waits for him. I mean, sometimes in life you're doing something, you're pushing, and it's not happening, and maybe it's time to say, well, maybe God has a different plan. And what is the point you do too much? Yosef was trying to push them to the ultimate level of nullifying their will to God's will. He was saying to them, okay, you think you made a mistake with the judgment. You think you made a mistake with all these things. But there's something else that you didn't understand that's even deeper. You made a mistake by even from the very beginning wanting to judge the case. It's a different mistake. See, one thing is you think I'm trying to kill you, it's one. But you made a mistake when you, from the very beginning, wanted to judge the case because that means that you didn't trust enough that whatever Hashem wants to be will be. See, I didn't have a gun to your head. If I had a gun to your head, the din of a rodef there is clear. Because you have a gun to my head, you're about to shoot me. There are a lot of machinations that can still happen. And the will of Hashem is what you should have let happen. In other words, yes, Yosef is bad-mouthing. And if Hashem didn't want, okay, is the Jewish people going to be up to a decision on this level, or is it going to be the will of Hashem? It's going to be Ratzon Hashem. And therefore, Yosef is claiming to them that there was a flaw in your ability to go and say whatever God's will is. If Hashem wants us to be the chosen people, we'll be the chosen people. If He doesn't, we won't. but it's not up to me. This is not, Yosef didn't come to me with a gun in his hand. And therefore, your level of attempting to even enter into this battle and make this decision and fight this out and judge showed a lack of understanding that there is a Ratzon Hashem, there's a will of Hashem that's going to run the world. You didn't get it because you felt you had to do too much. And I know it's a very, very subtle point, but it's the degree where a person says, yes, I make my effort, but then, half the time we think, yeah, because I'm going to push, this is what's going to happen. And that's not really the way the world is. It's not. The things that are, it's a hard thing to understand, but everything that the Chos Voda says, everything you're going to get, you get. No one's going to take something you don't get. How do I make my efforts? Because if you don't make your efforts, then you're actually undoing because you are being poshea, being negligent in not doing what you were supposed to do. But you do the normal things you're supposed to do. What you're going to get is yours. Nobody can touch one thing that belongs to you. The Chol Vav says that clearly. The reality is that every single thing that is in your world, there's you have a chelik, you have a certain portion. And the brothers should have said, listen, we're going to serve Hashem. We're going to do our thing. And if Yosef's going to go and badmouth us, all right, Yosef, we think you're doing the wrong thing. But are we supposed to go and enter into the whole idea of judging this case? That shows a flaw in my understanding of accepting Hashem's Ratzon. And I want to prove this to you. Because we know that how do we know the sin of the brothers wasn't exonerated? We say it in Yom Kippur davening. We talk about it a lot. We have the 10 martyrs. The 10 martyrs, Chazal say, are the Gilgulim, the Neshamas of the 10 brothers. And who they are, it's a different discussion. Could be Yosef even in there, but I'll leave it for another time. But the 10 brothers, the 10 martyrs are the Shvatim, are the tribes. That's what Arizal says. So that means that there was something they didn't get, and that's the famous story. That's why the way it's brought down in Yom Kippur is that the king says, he fills his house with shoes, and he says, what's the punishment of a guy who sells his brother into slavery? And they said, he should die. And they say, yeah, well, your great ancestors sold your brother into slavery, and they bought shoes with the money. So therefore, you need to suffer for them. What kind of thing was that? Because the deeper meaning Chazal is telling us is that they were the same neshamas. Now, I want to show you the ultimate tikkun. What happens in the story? They understand the problem. Let's just review a second. They understood their jealousy. They understood their wrong judgment. They understood all that. They got the specific things to fix it up. They got all that stuff. They got all that. What is left? The jealousy that they took care of. What is the only thing that's left right now? Is this subtle point of do they push and are they willing to accept Hashem's Ratzon or not? What happens with the 10 tribes, with the 10 martyrs? They accept the judgment. That's exactly what happens. They go and they say, listen. They say to Rabbi Yishmael, go and get into a prophetic state and find out what to do. And it says he goes to the prophetic state. He goes up and it says he heard from behind the pargad, behind the veil. It says, accept this loving ones. Accept this. Accept my will. The ultimate final correction of the brothers is only in the 10 martyrs because they said, we don't know what it is, but we're willing to accept Hashem's Ratzon, whatever it is. That was what Yosef was pushing them for. He was pushing them to the ultimate level of tshuva, where not only do you take care of the externals, the slightest point of it, where you pushed your thing, you weren't willing to accept God's will, that's what he was trying to get them to fix up. And eventually, and they didn't do it, but that's what comes out at the end with the 10 martyrs. That is exactly what Chazal means, that when Yeshua comes up and says, accept this, beloved ones, accept this is God's will, and they come back and they say, we've accepted it. That's exactly what it was.
Well, what did that have looked like had they accepted it there in Mitzrayim? What was Yosef wanting?
So what the Shem says is, he says, listen, no matter what, you weren't able to go and kill the entire. They were going to kill the whole country. They were going to just destroy the world, and they were going to go into a world war. And Yosef, and according to Shem Shmuel, that they couldn't do that. If they had no way to do it, they had no way to do it. If Binyamin, if he did everything, this guy was not going to let Binyamin out. Then he had to say, "I don't know what Hashem wants here. I'm sunk. We're all sunk." I mean, it's frightening because it's like there's a moment where you accept something that's very, very powerful, and you kind of get free because you're holding back from stuff. So what happens is they had to come to a point like we're gone, and there's nothing we could do, and this we don't want this, but if this is Hashem's will, and Yehuda is going to be cut off from the world to come, and all the things that He promised Yaakov, but I don't know. Hashem runs the world. It would have been a point of there would have been a point of acquiescing and surrender to say what's the greater will, and they were never getting there, and that's what Yosef saw. He couldn't hold back because he saw that there was never going to be the point where they were going to say checkmate.
And Yosef practiced the same either. He let go also.
Yeah.
It was time to come forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yosef said, "Okay, I can't do it. I'm done."
It was not going to.
Because according to the Medrash, he just stopped the world war. Yehuda looked at the brothers and said, "That's it. Let's go." However it worked in those days, obviously they were very strong. Sort of Shrem, and they were able to do certain things. And
so they went the wrong way, basically.
Yeah.
They were supposed to go the other way, but they went the wrong way.
What do you mean the wrong? In what sense?
Meaning, instead of just being just giving up, they went instead.
Yeah. So right. We're never going to let up. And it's a very subtle point. I mean, it's like a little bit of a. It's a weird point because it's very, very subtle, and I think because it comes up in life all the time. It's like when is a point where you say, okay, I accept God's will no matter what it is. It's a very hard point.
They almost did accept it because they keep saying Halokim, Matzah, Savona, Vadacha, Yenu Avadim. They came to the point where they said this is God's will.
Yeah, but then at the end, then you don't see that.
Close. I mean,
Very close.
On the way then.
Right.
Because a couple times they said that this is not making sense. It must be Hashem is telling
Didn't
us
Yosef
that
come to
this
God
is
at
right.
all?
What was
They
it?
were getting. It seems that they were going on that path.
They were, but this final point, the Shem Shmuel comes out. It's so subtle that point of realizing, and it's different levels here. One thing is we judge the case wrong. They got that. Did you understand that you never should have been thinking about judging the case in the first place? That should never have been a question for you, because it's not in the same category. The din of a rodef is he comes to you with a gun, he's going to shoot you with a gun. So then, but a guy is going and he's spreading lashon hara. Okay, it's very bad. I mean, it's wrong. But is it chayiv misa? Is it chayiv death because of a rodef? Hey, maybe Hashem put something else in Yaakov's head. Maybe if Hashem doesn't want the brothers, they should just do tshuva. And maybe it happens all the time. It's a fascinating thing. Sometimes, like somebody is like pushing you and doing things that are negative to you. And the natural response is, I'm going to do something back. That's a natural response. Everyone thinks things like that. If you take a second, you say, you know what? Let me just actually work on my davening. I work on my Torah learning. That's not the typical approach because we're not taught that way. We're taught like, stand up for your rights. I'm not saying you should stand up for your rights, but there's a time where you cross the line because you said, okay, I'm going to control the situation. And that's a hard thing to balance. When should you take action and when should you not? It really is hard in our personal lives.
In the defense of the brothers, and they look back and they see in the prior generation, Esau and Yaakov.
Right.
And someone had to step in,
right.
had to step in and switch it around with
right.
bracha. And prior to that was Yishmael. There was a destructive
right.
force.
That's what we said in the beginning, before you came. Yeah, we said that's what. Right, right.
They didn't know that Rivka went to shame and heard that this was supposed to be, so that they had that from Hashem, knowing this was the way. But from their perspective, each generation something had to be done to remove.
Right. And that's what we said. That was their rationale. That was the rationale. That's why there's two sides to the story, of course. These were the shiftei gods. These are the holiest people around. So that's exactly what they said. They said, listen, this is called a rodef. The reality is that he was pushing them the other way. That there's a level of of hitbatlus, of a person saying, and it as human hitbatlus, saying this, whatever God's will, I nullify myself, my will to God's will, and it's a very, very hard trait. It's a very hard trait, because that's not the way we're built. We're built and that is the question in life. When you say I'm supposed to do something, and when am I supposed to say whatever God wants? And those two they're conflicting. They're literally conflicting. They're two opposite feelings, right? You must do. It's up to you. It's true. You must Hashem's will. He decides everything. How do put those two things together? They're opposites. Yeah.
You're saying also that this story, this incident, is about the most foundational aspect of the Jewish people. You're saying it's not about whether or not they were right to throw in the pit, not right to throw in the pit, although they admitted, right, that was the wrong thing to do. You're saying the pneumius here is that there's a certain stance, a proper stance one has to have in terms of circumstance.
Right.
And you're saying that on the foundational level, that's what this narrative is about.
Yeah, yeah.
Where as Jewish people, you step in, and where you take your hands off.
That's right.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. It comes out, and but it's again, it's like, let's go back to one other question. You had last week's parasha. Yosef tells the Saramashkim to remember him, okay, and because it says to remember him, he spends 2 more years in jail. Let me tell you something. If you were in Yosef's situation and you didn't say remember me, you should spend more time in jail. Because for me, that's a normal amount of effort. You got to know your level. Let me just go through one thing. This is a very important halacha. You have a question of how much a person should go and make effort. So there's a very interesting Ramban. Ramban says that it kind of depends on your level based on how much you're now in the world of nature. In other words, there's a famous story. It's a great story with the Alshech happened. The Alshech, what happened was he was telling the students, you believe in Hashem and trust in Hashem, you sit and learn, and things will work out, you'll get money, this and that, don't worry, not a problem. So he's sitting there and he's telling them this, okay, and the guys have no money and they're getting frustrated, and he says, listen, if you do the right thing and you sit and learn, don't worry, things will work out, you'll have a living, things will, okay. So now, there was a guy, he was a donkey driver, ride donkeys and track and stuff, that was listening, he heard this shir. He was in ignoramus, he didn't know anything, but he overheard the Alshech saying this. So he said, listen, why am I working so hard? It's like a donkey. What am I doing that for? I heard the Alshech. I'm going to try to do something right. I'm going to sit and learn. I can't learn. I'll read Tehillim. I'll read Psalms. And it'll work out for me. So what happened was he's reading this Tehillim, and his wife's screaming, what are you doing? You got no money. Okay, he has no money. It's getting worse and worse. And he has to start selling his things. He sells this, he sells that. He has to sell his donkey. And his wife's freaking out. And he goes, listen, I don't know. Alshech said it's going to work out. I'm going to say tell him it's going to work out. Okay. He sells his donkey to a guy, not a Jewish guy, and this guy was a robber. And what happened was the guy had stolen all this gold and jewels, and he had buried it someplace. And he went with this donkey that he bought from this Jew, and he went to the secret place he had buried the treasure, and he dug it up, and he started loading on his donkey. And as he finishes loading the donkey, he looks in if there's anything left there, and he falls in the pit and he dies. Now, the donkey's standing there, doesn't know where to go. The wife's sitting there screaming at the guy, "What are you, out of your mind?" And as she's screaming at him, the donkey says, okay, I'll go back to where I know. Starts walking back, and he starts walking towards the guy, towards his house, laden with gold and diamonds and jewels. The wife's screaming at the guy, and he comes in, all of a sudden he's got this gold, diamonds, and jewels. Now this was the story. The students of the Alshech go over and say, this is the craziest story in the world. Because this guy doesn't know anything. We're your top students. We don't have two nickels to rub together. This doesn't make any sense. He said to them the following. He said, listen, it's different. See, he really believes it. You don't. You don't believe it. Like, you as you're learning the thing, you're figuring out what you're going to do. So for him, he was able to do that, but you are not willing to go to that level of existence. Now, it's a very, very deep idea. This is what the Ramban says. How much effort should you make? You should make the effort on the level you're at. If you think, yes, I'm going to go and not do anything, I'm just going to pray. If you're not holding there, it ain't going to work. And you're not even going to be holding there, because what's going to happen is you're going to fool yourself. You're going to pretend, I saw that many years in yeshiva, there were guys who were really doing it, and there were guys who were, So that means that you're supposed to function on the level that you're on. You can't go and all of a sudden pretend you be this tremendous Baal Bitoch, and it's all going to work out. What you have to do is, all you can do is take one more slight step. My Rebbe used to say, Tuskis used to say this, take one slight step of bitachon. You do one thing extra that you don't need to, and you can get another minute of learning. You lock your house 5 times, maybe lock it 4 times. I don't know. Make some level of something where a tiny bit, because that's appropriate to your level. So if you say, I'm always running on this I'm in this deal, so you say, okay, I'm going to put the phone down for 10 minutes now. That's a hard thing. It's a hard thing, but that's appropriate to the level you're on. So in life, this is the hardest question: how much effort, how much trust in Hashem, and they're both true, because the reality is, in the end, you're going to get what you're supposed to get. But the truth is, if you don't do enough, if you do less than you're supposed to do, you're called a posheya. You could be negligent. Yeah, point.
We all struggle with this, and we
go
through challenges in our life, and so how does one know? How does one know what they should do for a shtadlus, or what does one do when they're in that position?
Well, I mean, if you don't know yourself, you got to get outside input, because it's hard to see ourselves. It's hard to see ourselves. But generally speaking, you have to sort of look at what's pushing you, what's motivating you, why you're doing what you're doing. And like I say, the simplest thing is to go and to do one small step. That's a good way to start. It's actually it's so powerful. I remember when I was very well Tuskis, he did things that it was hard to understand. I mean, there was a whole discussion with him and Rav Scheinberg who should get insurance. I remember.
Who is this?
Rav Scheinberg was my Rosh Hashiva. His son-in-law, the Chiddush Basar of Rav Tusky, was my Rebbe. So, and he was probably what's called the Mas Midador. I've never seen someone learn like him. It was something you can't imagine. You really can't imagine. In the yeshiva, what happened was, when it's in Yerushalayim, so when someone would, Choshev Rav would pass away and they would bury him, everyone had to go to the funeral. So, everyone in the yeshiva would have to go. But Rav Tusky would stay there. And I stayed there also. I wanted to see what was happening. So I used to always stick around. And he would sit and learn at Stender. And there was a whole system. What happened was, they would see when the Levaya would get to a certain place, they would call into the office. They would get a guy with his van who would come get Rav Tusky from his stender. He'd stand up with the book, walk him to the van. I would get in there to see this, and then they would drive him. He would get out. He would close the book he would walk his Dalet Amos. and then they put him back in the van. They bring him back to the yeshiva, back to his tender. I never saw anything like it. It was just the most unbelievable thing. So that's who he was. It was something unbelievable. So he was talking like and there was a whole discussion. What? Yes, because that's the level you're on, but he didn't. And the Rosh Hashiva said you could. I mean, there was a whole discussion in the yeshiva because he didn't, because he kept wanting to try to go, So I'm living in Israel, so I try to do it by getting the most basic level car insurance. But I don't know, that means I have a Baal Bitachon. It means your car gets smashed in Israel. There's like a difference, my car got smashed the first week I had it, So anyway, but the idea is to try to make one small step. You have to know in life when you have to make an assessment. It's very hard. When you try things numerous times and they're not going, you're supposed to rethink. As the Gemara says, whoever pushes the hour runs away. Whoever waits for the hour waits for him. If you pushed a few times, didn't go, then you need to take a step back, because you're always emotionally locked into things, and you see that, because when you get focused on this is what I have to do, you keep pushing that, and there it requires a step back to say rethink. If it didn't go, I'm not saying drop it, but reconsider it. Because we don't. We take our angle. And that's what happened here. Very, very subtle point. The ultimate level of hitbatlus, of saying I'm willing to accept God's will. And it's only metakin, it's only fixed in the 10 martyrs who said we're willing to accept it.
And Shem and Shmuel picked up on that based on the fact that Yosef had to hold back.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's also why he got angry. Why the kings got angry at each other, because Yehuda got angry because Yosef was keeping Binyamin, but Yosef got angry because he wanted Yehuda to say checkmate. That's why he got angry. Okay. Yeah, now he ties together. All right.
You can't say even after this conversation, you can't keep pushing.
What's that?
Even after the conversation, you should tell them you still have more to work on.
Yeah, but it's too late now.